Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all these sectors, topics, looking for potential investment opportunities. If that interests you, definitely sign up. We've got a May Day coupon code that is still active, MAYDAY. Get 50% off the first month on a monthly membership. And then you get a larger discount if you guys want to sign up for a yearly membership. Even if you're already a member, you can always switch over to the yearly membership and get those savings. All right, so let's take a look, see what's going on today. We've got the dollar, and the dollar is continuing higher, 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 higher. We had a bearish engulfing show up last trading session, and the market just said, you know what? Nope, we're going higher. And that's being driven by interest rates. Interest rates are going up. They're going up more aggressively than other countries. And that difference of the aggressiveness of interest rates is causing the dollar to continue to go upwards. So there we are. There's our move upwards in the dollar. Interest rates, the 2-year, heading quite high today. We are accelerating to the upside, 1.9%. We've got this breakout that just occurred today, and that looks good to go higher. If the recession camp was 100% right, generally what we see is a decline in interest rates. But maybe there's something deeper going on. Maybe there is something going on with countries rejecting our bonds, and prices, interest rates go up. The 10 years also heading higher, 2.67, and that is a strong candlestick. In fact, all of these candlesticks are quite strong. We are moving up with pretty good momentum. We'll see if that turns in this general area where we've got resistance, but right now it's looking strong. And then the 30 years also heading higher, 2.4%, breaking through a lot of the resistance areas. Now, I thought we were going to roll over. That's what my thought was, and I thought we were going to get a potential slowdown in the markets, but that does not look like the case. It looks like the markets are pricing in inflation, and they don't want anything to do with bonds at this interest rate level. So they're selling off. The bonds are selling off, causing the interest rates to continue higher at this time. TYX TNX ratio, we do look like this wants to pull back. The way that I'm viewing this is that you've got basically a little bit of a squeeze going on where we could pull back and invert the yield curve. This is the 30 and the 10-year, and that does look like we could fall. The inversion is pretty low, but that looks like we could still maybe invert further with interest rates going up. We've got TLT bond prices selling off, and this doesn't look good, guys, for bond prices. I think we could potentially head lower here as we break through support to the downside. Now, is that surprising me? Yes, it is. It is surprising me that we are getting this type of move out of bond prices. So interest rates are breaking to the upside. Bond prices, obviously, are breaking to the downside. That is not, we don't generally see that during a recession or slowdown. So someone's putting the hurt here on bonds. The 2 and 10, we've got some uninversion going on, but it's doing it in a way where interest rates are going upward. So the 10-year went up more than the 2-year, 2.62% versus 1.95%. And that's what's causing this to come back down. So that's an interesting mix. Could this yield curve come back down while rates go up? That's called a bear steepener. We've got gold up about $5 an ounce. I do think these rates and the strength of the dollar may have impacted gold today. but it's still holding on, and we'll see if we can milk anything more to the upside. A lot of the price targets are around 2,700 to 3,200 an ounce, depending on how you set up the price target. So we could have met the price target in gold, but it still looks good at this time. Silver still ripping up about 2.32%. Not the strongest candlestick ever, but we are up 2.32%. We're above all of these resistance lines, and we've been moving to the upside, so it still looks good. Platinum down a little bit. We are coming up against that resistance line. There's the good old resistance line that we haven't broken yet. And we're up against that resistance line, and we're getting a little bit of selling pressure today. We were down 0.8%, and palladium also getting a little bit of selling pressure, down about 2% today. And that's still above all those support levels down here. This still looks good to try to work its way on up. Nice big green candlesticks and all the such there. GDX up just a little bit today. We've got GDXJ up slightly and SILJ up about 2% on SILJ. But they all look good, and I would just be patient here. We might do some zigging and some zagging as we move up, but everything's still intact. XAU to gold ratio, we've got the gold and silver mining companies outperforming gold a little bit. Still looks good. And we are coming from incredibly low levels where I think this will work its way on up. That means gold and silver mining companies will outperform gold for a period of time. And it could be a long period of time. It could go on for years. Crude oil working its way on up about 1.8%. Here we are coming on down. We've got a little bit of buying pressure today. And we'll see where this goes. I'm just holding to see where we go here. Some people think, oh, we're going to go down. Well, that's not what commercial inventory levels suggest. That's not what they suggest. In fact, the fair value's up here. We've got TTF gas up about 2%. It's right at that resistance line. We've been squeezing up here. Are we going to get a break to the upside? We entered this from the top side. It usually consolidates, and then you break to the upside. So that looks good to go higher with time. We've got natural gas in America bouncing off support. That's that line going across there. So we did do a full retest here, and we are getting a bullish candlestick, which is a bullish piercing, where we could get a bounce here. And we'll see what the bounce looks like. We may go sideways before heading higher, but we'll get a bounce. Most likely. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, we're still up above the support level. A little bit of selling pressure today, down about 0.5. Kind of an interesting looking candle here, or setup, that we can maybe come back to the support level, and we'll see if that holds. OIH up just a teeny bit, but it does look like we've been working our way lower. I do see a little bit of a compression here. And what you do is you kind of do it like that. So we'll see what occurs here. In this, if that is in fact what I see, but it's such a small pattern, it's not going to, it might not realize itself in any big way. So we'll see if it holds here. Newcastle coal futures down slightly. I still think this looks really good. We've got higher lows coming up in here. Wherever it makes the low, doesn't really matter. And then I think we'll eventually work our way on up. TTF nat gas looks pretty good, so I think coal futures is going to follow whatever TTF nat gas does. They're going to mirror each other. Sprott Uranium Trust up against resistance. There we are. Not a ton of selling pressure, so it still looks really good. There's your resistance line that is up there. It's the copy of this projected upward up there. We're just getting a little bit of selling pressure right up against resistance. Still looks okay. Uranium futures pricing down a little bit. Still looks good and work its way on up. Nothing to worry about, in my opinion. URA also getting a little bit of selling pressure today. Is it a bearish piercing? Kind of. Not really. Difficult to say here. Another thing to think of is how high are we? We're starting to get to these levels where we could hit all-time highs. 52-week highs, sorry. 52-week highs. Not all-time, but 52. So we might get a little bit of resistance here, and we'll see if we can punch through and keep going. URNM, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of selling pressure right on top of support. And then URNJ down about 2% right on top of support. A little bit of resistance right at the resistance line. So we'll see what happens. We're above support and aka resistance support. Copper down slightly today, and we're at the pattern here, falling wedge, and we'll see if we go sideways to potentially higher. That's what is favorable when you break out of these falling wedges. Sometimes they dip around like this too. They can kind of move around like that right after popping out of the wedge. TOPX down a little bit too. It's doing a retest move out of this wedge, perhaps. We'll see if we get buying pressure tomorrow or not. Uh, Iron ore, we've been kind of just working our way down here, it looks like, and another falling wedge. It looks okay. It's just going to take patience and wait for the buyers to step in and push us higher. There's also this gap, and that could get filled. It's possible. We do have support at about $100. I think longer term, though, I think this is a great entry point here for all this. And if you guys want to know the companies I'm going to be entering on the website, you guys will see it in my Roth 401k here. I'll do some purchases in this particular area. Aluminum. Aluminum's up against resistance. We have not broken out of resistance, but we have been squeezing to some degree. We'll see if we can break here. We've got nickel down slightly, ever so slightly, but I still think that this will work its way on up. It still looks okay. Mu down about 1.1%. We are still above all of the support, and I still favor a move higher, even if we bounce around above the support area. Emerging markets down just a teeny bit, down 0.7%. We've got that falling wedge too. Could be a potential retest, and maybe we'll head higher. Emerging markets may struggle if the dollar continues its way on up and interest rates continue its way on up. We've got KRE selling off back within the pattern here, and I think that deals with those rates and the dollar. TAN also selling off, rates in the dollar. We've got lithium selling off some, rates in the dollar. REMX down a little bit, rates in the dollar. if you catch my drift, these are all rate sensitive. Baltic Dry Index selling off a little bit too. Looks like they're getting a little bit more momentum there. We'll see where it bases out, probably down here, wherever that shows up. But right now, momentum's to the downside in Baltic Dry Index. XHB, it is selling off 3.13%, a little bit of a stronger down day. Why is that the case? Stronger yield, stronger dollar, guys. Those yields, the 10-year especially, we were up, what was it, 2.7% today? That's a big move. It's going to impact these interest rate sensitive areas in a negative way, obviously. Russell 2000 down a little bit too. But again, we're still above all the support. So when we get above these support areas and you get a little bit of resistance coming through here, support resistance, I still think we're going higher. SPX, we're down a little bit, but it's holding on. A little bit of selling pressure up here with these bearish engulfings, but there's no follow through. We'll see which direction it ends up going. NASDAQ up just a teeny bit. The plunge protection team getting in there, getting some buys in. Good for them. Sit right at the tip here. Playing just the tip of the pattern here. We'll extend this guy up right into that tip. SMCI up a teeny bit, but no big green candlesticks. A little bit of selling pressure on these guys there. It doesn't look good. I wouldn't take a position here. And a lot of these are angled upward. You can see this is angled upward. It's not like it's coming up like this, but we'll see. When it gets to these areas, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. We do have a big buying pressure day here and not many large candlesticks after. So it's trying to work its way on up, but this could still have more downside. NVIDIA up about 4%. It's ripping today. Everybody's got to buy NVIDIA. We're going to do AI and all that stuff. So we got to get in there. I'm just joking. It's a joke, guys. Bitcoin down a little bit. We're on top of this, and I would say that we're right at support. We'll see if we can get moving to the upside here. And then Ethereum, we get a little bit of selling pressure. Still doesn't look that bad, though. We've got lots of buying pressure before it. We do have a little bit larger selling pressure candlestick today, but it's not a bearish, piercing, or engulfing yet. I would wait and see. We need more data here in the short term for me to determine, but momentum's upward. Momentum's upward. Need more data to ensure that this is actually going to pull back if it's going to. But that's what I've got for today. Give me a thumb up for the content, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. And we'll catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.